Hey, I'm chatting to Dan Whittem today, mate. We a fellow muso around the town that's often in the traps and doing a pile of other things as well. How are you?
I'm great. Really good to be talking to you, Nick. Followed you for a long time, so it's good to be
Yes,
sitting down with
mate.
you one on one.
You're telling me that you and your partner used to come out and see me play decades ago, was it?
Yeah, there back in the '90s. Some of the Fisherman's Wharf, I think,
Yeah,
pretty good memories. Fridays,
yeah.
all those regular haunts, and you and there's quite a few others there. I remember Dan Mullins.
I do remember Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, he was another one that I used to go and see religiously. So yeah, to have the opportunity to sit down with you and have a chat, it's great.
I might. Well, I have to. If watching us got you into music, I have to apologise for the.
I apologise for getting a lot of people into music these days.
Yeah. No, it's great, isn't it? I mean, it's as tough as the journey is, and it's a real roller coaster at times. It's good to be able to wake up and actually do what you love doing and do your passion.
Yeah,
And I was never able to turn up and work like an office job or something like that. I just never had that in me. And all power to those people who can do it. But I had to, even when times are really tough, I always enjoyed waking up and trying to figure out what to do today.
yeah, absolutely. I always had music as a hobby on the side of an office job. It was something that I always wanted to do, and
Hmm.
it was always there as a hobby. So I couldn't wait to finish on a Friday to get
Yep.
into a gig on a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. And I
Yep.
turn up to Monday with my eyeballs hanging out of my head, going, "When are we going to do this again?" So I did that for probably 20 years before I decided
Oh,
to
wow.
to actually commit to it full time. And
So,
that's what
so
I'm doing now.
what was your background? Where were you raised?
Yeah, I've raised in Brisbane.
Yep.
So I went to UQ, did a human movements degree, actually.
Okay.
So I worked in gyms and occ health and rehab, corporate fitness, that sort of thing. And I always had this on the side, music on the side of that. It's not very often, I guess, you see sport combined with, music that often. And that's what I did all the way along.
Yeah,
I,
though it
I
is funny. It is funny. I find a lot of I see a lot of guys who've gone through the corporate world and they've made money in their businesses, but often many of them actually started with either a sports or a music background, and they sort of
yeah,
got into business from that. And there seems to be something with sport and music that even though maybe they don't cross over so much directly to each other, but there seems to be something about that is an early driver of people's imagination and inspiration.
I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I guess some of the best memories were the thing that got me into it to start with was coming to see blokes like, as I said, um, Dan Mullins, some of the local cover bands going around at the time. I used to think it was just a magical experience.
It was great. We were so lucky back then. Like I started
Yeah,
out of school pretty much into touring band straight away, shortly after. But
yeah,
it was back in those days where you could actually work 5, 6, 7 nights a week.
yep,
And you'd be when we're doing the touring circuit around Queensland, most of us were doing like the Hutcho circuit back then, and we'd
yep,
spend 1, 2, 3 weeks in the town playing 5, 6 nights a week.
yep.
So we got out of that, did the solo work around town, and once again there were so many venues. It was before the pokies came in. It was when the venues really
Absolutely.
depended on artists to get people to come to their venue. So there was a lot of good joint promotion, and you'd walk into a room and it would be set up right. You'd have the stage right, it'd be dark room, you'd have the lights on, good sound systems going, and you could actually entertain people. And we just
Yep.
lost a lot of that capability when the focus of the venues changed from entertainment to more of the pokies and then now sort of the food restaurant side of things. And yes, it's sad. It's so hard for new artists coming through to get that experience that we were able to get by working so much.
Yep. Yeah, I think people back then came to see live music. They
Yep.
actively went out and sorted out and said, "What are we going to do tonight?" And you'd plan your night around where the gigs were.
Yep.
But now I guess that's been diluted a lot, as you mentioned, with the overload of entertainment in venues. If
And
you
the cost of living too. I mean,
cost of
the
living,
cost of
yeah,
you could go out and have a
yeah,
cheap
yeah,
night of drinks everywhere, but now it's like to have 3 or 4 drinks, like there's a budget gone.
yep, Absolutely.
Yeah, but mate, it's despite all that, I actually do think things go in cycles, and there's a whole generation out there that haven't really got to experience that live interactive thing that we were doing back in those days. And I think it will come around, and I think it will find its place. But we do have to look for new models and stuff that's going on. So in a while, we get talking about some of the things you're doing with helping artists come through and development of the industry in that way. But what was the switch that took you from having it as a part-time thing to being your full-time life? What was the impetus for that?
I guess for me was the turning point was open mics. I was doing my gigs on the weekend, and there wasn't really much happening Monday to Friday in terms of in being a live musician in Brisbane. It was sort of more of a weekend industry. When I started running open mics, venues started knocking on my door saying, "Hey, why don't we run a hospo night on a Monday for an open mic? Why don't we do one on a Tuesday?" And it wasn't for very long that I was working, running community open mics 3 or 4 nights a week. And I was trying to do that at a job as well, and then play on the weekends. And I was killing myself. So I had to make a choice then. Okay, well, what do I do? I don't want to die wondering what I could have done with music. So that was the sort of turning point, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago, was that sort of need for platforms for people to play, and the open mic opportunities during the week really changed the game for me. And that I was able to support myself full time doing music. I don't think I could have just doing a weekend thing. So yeah, pushed the job to the side and said, well, I can always go back to that if I want to. And I haven't looked back since. I've been doing it seriously probably about 4 or 5 years full time.
Okay. Yeah. So mate, are you as a performer yourself, you know, I have to apologize, I haven't seen you at gig. We'll make that happen, get out and do it.
Yeah.
But do you write as well, or is it you doing all cover stuff, or when to go and see you?
Yeah. Oh, look, I've done a couple of original CDs, one with a 5-piece rock band called Trafford. We held a residency at Dooley's Hotel for 5 or 6 years. Yeah, and we wrote a great little pop rock album there. I've gone back and done an acoustic duo original album with a little duo called Bluefish. And I've started writing my own original material, just me, and pretty much producing it on my own at the moment. So I'm really doing the originals just for fun. And I throw a few in at gigs. But my main work is from kit covers.
As much as we all want to be living off doing our writing and originals, it's just so hard to pay the bills with it, you know, unless you get that lucky break of that right song going the right way, particularly these days. I was reading somewhere, I thought the figure of like new songs coming out every day on Spotify was like 10,000, but apparently it's up to something like 40,000 songs a day are being released. Getting your hand above the crowd in all of that is just insane.
Yeah, I know. Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I think with Spotify as well now, people listen to music in very much a grazing fashion. You're scrolling through, you're finding something, and you're not really understanding the artist or the album.
Yeah. Once again,
they're just single.
Once again, with things going in cycles, my hope is, and I'm probably just off with the fairies with this, but my hope is we do find some technology around the new technology now that brings back somehow that album experience, where like you get the album, you'd read the liner notes, you'd watch it, listen to after song after song, and you knew that whole set of songs, and you waited to see where the artist was going to go from there with their next album. And I think something will come out, because once again there's a need in the market for that. There's whole generations now who haven't had that experience, but I think once they got that experience, now sure, people are buying albums, but they're just ridiculously priced and they're not practical. But there will be something that works in with our new technology, I think, that will one day create that album experience. Well, that's my hope anyway. And I think as artists, we're hanging out for that, because it's great when, I know if my CDs, when I get people say that they've actually I had this great experience in China, because I spend a lot of time in China doing stuff over there. And my album, Songs from the Fourth Floor, came out as called Postcard over there. And on my first trip over there, I met like a busboy in Guangzhou who was working in the hotel we were at, and I got to know him pretty well. And we still keep in contact. His name is Billy. He's got sort of gone through the whole hotel chains, but he's now runs a fashion label. And but anyway, at the time he was learning English, and I gave him my CD, and I remember next trip back, or it might have been later that trip, he came up to me. He said, Mr. Nick," he said, "Oh, I've been listening to your songs, and the words, and they just paint so many pictures for me." It was like, that was probably one of the best compliments I've ever had. Someone learning English,
Yeah,
figuring he's
yeah,
listening and studying the
yeah,
words of my album. And those little moments are pretty inspirational.
yeah,
So, mate, to what you play a pretty major role now with your open mics and the workshops you hold in actually helping people
yeah,
get into the industry, I assume, and create platforms for
yeah,
themselves. And your company's Honey
yep.
Badger Events, correct?
Honey
Yep.
Badger
Where'd
events.
you get that name
Yep,
from?
that's right. Oh, well, I've been called for quite a long time now,
Okay.
the Honey Badger, where people think something's impossible, or they, back away from something, a task. They sort of ring me and say, "Okay, what are we going to do, Honey Badger? How are we going to make this work?" And I always try to find a way to make the impossible doable. And I think that's the sort of approach I've also taken with music opportunities that have come my way. Sometimes a lot of the time we've bitten off more
But is
than we
that
can
because
chew. And I've
you're
just had
either a
that
really practical thinker or an inspirational thinker? Which way, or is it a combination of the two?
probably an inspirational
Hmm.
thinker. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I've always had that attitude of like, let's take the opportunity. Let's make it work. Let's not sit around and think
Very
about it.
cool.
Let's go for it. So, um, whereas a lot of people will be, oh, look, I think we could work a bit more on this. We're too underdone. What
Yeah.
if this goes wrong? What if this? And I thought, well, what if it doesn't? What if it does go right? And if it does go wrong, we can learn from that. So I guess I've called the Honey Badger for
Have you lived
those type of
overseas?
reasons.
Hey, if you have a story to tell and would like to come onto the podcast for a chat, just email me at aussielocalandlive@gmail.com. Also, while you're here, please subscribe if you're on YouTube or on Facebook. Follow this channel, and we'll let you know when new episodes come out. If you'd like to really help out, click on that QR code with your camera. It'll take you to my website where you can do a tip jar donation to help cover the marketing and other things in putting this show together. Anyway, thanks very much, and back to the show.
Not just in music.
Mm.
Have I lived overseas? I was born
Okay.
in the UK. I lived there till I was nearly 4.5. Yeah, but I've been back a few
Hmm.
times to visit. But that's the
Okay.
only real
The reason I
overseas
raise that
experience
is
I've had.
what you're saying there about making opportunities work and figuring out how they work. I lived in Los Angeles for a number of years, did my first album over there, done stuff in China, a few things. What I have seen in some of the other countries, there does seem to be much more of a willingness to manage risk. Like, so, like they'll look at a project, they say, yes, this has potential, and then they really manage it. And when I come back to Australia, I found time and time again, there seems to be, we're held back in so many ways here because people get so scared of risk instead of managing it. Do you find that at all?
Yeah, yeah, I do. There's a lot of, I guess, constraints and red tape around about what we try to do
Mm-hmm.
in this industry, and I think that scares a lot of people off from
Mm-hmm.
trying things. For example, just to maybe even put on a small festival. I mean, there is a bit of risk involved in that, but the amount of red tape that you have to do, the amount of work you have to do with the councils and all of the approvals that you have to have and all of that there and all of the litigation and things that can go wrong, I think it is quite a scary thing to try to take on. Whereas other countries I know probably don't have those constraints, and it's a bit easier to get things up and running. I do think Australia is quite bound up by that red tape in our industry.
How are the insurances with events now?
Yeah.
Have they gone through the roof like I assume they have, or?
It is pretty much, you have to insure an event
Mm-hmm.
by event now. It's pretty hard to get a blanket insurance because you'll either pay too much
Yep.
and not use it, or you'll pay not enough and the event will be too big for it. So you have to kind of provide a risk management for each
Yep.
event that you're running and then get insurance for that
Yep.
particular event.
Man, I've got to say,
Events are entirely different insurance for like an individual performer. Personal indemnity insurance is completely different for insuring an event. And I think, insuring it event by event is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
That's what I found
And
anyway.
I just noticed too, sorry, I'm a bit slow, but you've got the Rocking Horse T-shirt on there. Was that from the shop in Brisbane?
Yeah, it was. My sister gave this to me for my birthday. It was the 50th anniversary.
That would have to be it was people. So many of us lived at Rocking Horse.
Yeah, that's where I got most of my albums.
Yeah, amazing.
I thought it was a good shirt to wear
cool.
to this interview.
Very cool. So, mate, you open mics. What's the experience there? Do you get people through that are all novices, or do you get experienced people through as well, or how do they work?
Big range. I advertise it. We're open to all ages, all styles, and all ability levels. So we get people. I'll give an example. We've had one lady that's been coming for 6 months, and she had never played the guitar or sung in her life before, and she's getting pretty good now. We've had kids as young as 11 or 12 years old. We've had 80-year-olds come along. It's about just getting up and having a go, and the inexperienced can learn from the experience. We get some world-class players coming in. We get some serious gigging musicians that come in that maybe just want to try out a few songs that they want to introduce into their sets, whether it be covers or an original they've written. So you get some really high quality players and some novices coming in, and I think that's what the great thing is about it. I think when you play a gig, there's a currency that goes on. You get paid to play the gig, and you've got to try and think about what the venues and the punter want. But with an open mic, you can come and play what's in your heart, what you want to play, and not be judged by it. And I think that's a great way for experienced musicians and for people just starting off, just to play what you feel comfortable playing. That's my philosophy that runs through every open mic. It's play what people go, what should I play? Play something that you feel that you want to play.
And how long do people get to perform for?
Yeah. We do 3 songs or 15 minutes, whichever one comes first.
And I just say people, maybe if they want to think of coming along, and we'll put some dates up there in a minute, but when people turn up, do they have to bring, what gear do they have to bring? What do they have to have with them?
Okay, it's a walk-in and sign up on a blackboard. It's old school. I did try the pre-bookings, and it just became so labor-intensive for me. It didn't work. I also tried an online booking platform. People would book and not show up. So the old school way, walk in, there's a sign-up board. I have it an hour before we start, and you write your name up. In terms of instruments, I provided all the instruments.
I say guitars and everything, so they don't have to even bring their own guitar.
Yeah, you can bring your own if you like, but there's always an acoustic guitar. There's a bass guitar. Sometimes we have a full drum kit. Sometimes we just have percussion. So all the instruments are provided. What my probably point of difference is, I've seen open mics done a really bad way in pubs. They just stick a speaker up in the corner and think it's just free entertainment for the night. But I bring in like a concert PA, so and lighting, so they feel that their sound quality is if they're playing a concert. And I provide them with top level gear as well. So I think if they're making the effort to come down, I need to return the effort and give them everything I've got to support what they're
doing. And if I
can
just throw out a bit of advice there too, if you someone watching and you would like to go along, one other thing you should do is make sure you got 10 friends going with you. Because it honestly, if you want to get the venue to know you and everything else, if people know, there is people coming along, and they actually do buy some drinks and stay there for a little bit and watch a couple of the other acts, it goes a long way. And that way you get to network as well. You get to talk to the other people and get feedback. Absolutely. And your friends see what you're doing, and next time you do a gig, hopefully they'll bring 2 of their friends with them.
Well, now, Nick, people are starting to advertise on social media as an event, which open mics they're playing. Yeah, it's like a gig. So they'll come down and invite their friends and family to come and watch them because they'll advertise.
I should have checked these dates for you, but off your website, we'll just check these here. Are these the places you're still doing them now?
Yep, Mondays, Misdemeanors in the city. Tuesdays at Tiger Eye up in Paddington Barracks. Thursdays is not at the Royal Quarters anymore. We're at a place called Milton Common. It's in Milton, Railway Terrace in Milton from 6 o'clock. that's probably the busiest open mic. It's a great feel in that room, and we can have no sound restrictions there. I mean, as loud as we like. The third Friday of each month we're at Barden Bowls Club, and today we've just released a new open mic. It's going to be every Saturday afternoon at a place called Last Man Standing Brewery, which is just opposite. It's opposite Suncorp Stadium. I don't know if you know Stephen Bradbury. Yep. So yeah, he's called his brewery Last Man Standing, and they've committed to it starting in October 4, every Saturday afternoon. And it's the point of difference here. It's outdoors. It's under some beautiful fig trees, and it's 3 till 6.
Well, mate, I shall put some little texts up about them, but mate, the Last Man Standing beer too. Their no carb beer, mate. It's a really nice drop. Very good.
Yeah. Bit of a plug from Nick Phillips.
But no, they have it at I play off at South Bank Beer Garden. They've got it on tap there, and have downed a few of them. But
I've seen you play there. I play there as well.
Yeah, mate. Now we know how to catch up and chat properly when we do that. But yeah, Stephen, I've only met him a couple of times, but he's good friends with a good friend of mine, Julian McDonald, who's an Olympic swimmer. And I'm trying to get Jules on for a chat, actually, so that'd be good. Anyway, I will put those sort of things up about that, but they're the open mics. Mate, now you also do community workshops, right?
Yep, I do. I work for an organisation called Communify. I used to run a program for disadvantaged people, mental health issues, socially, economically disadvantaged. I put a music program for them. I just did it for free every Friday morning. Do quite a few different things in Communify, and right now I'm running an aged care program called You're in the Band, and it's a 1 hour sort of dinner concert, and everyone gets an instrument, and I have a list of songs. It could be Spin the Wheel, or they just pick a song out, and we all perform it together. So we can get 30, 40 people in there having the time of their life. So it's more aimed now at aged care. So retirement villages. That's a picture of it there. So that's a gig I do with Communify probably once a month there. The other workshops I run, it's called Get Gigs Workshop. And we do these every 3 months for emerging artists on how to break through and get paid gigs. It takes a lot of guesswork and mystery out of the artists who've been coming to open mics for a while. They're good enough to play, they're good enough to get paid, but they just don't know how to break through in the industry. And it's a 1-day workshop. And I run those they're on my website. The next one's on the 8th of November. We give them all the tools. It's all really practical takeaway stuff they can apply straight away on getting gigs. So that's it there.
We've got the industry insight, emerging trends and work opportunities, what venues and agencies look for in artists, how to promote as an artist and get paid work, how to create personalized free marketing and advertising, how to manage business administration as a sole trader, how much and how to charge for gigs, minimum equipment requirements, and how to achieve the best possible sound through essential sound engineering tips. Mate, they're all great things. But that's awesome you're doing that.
Yep. We've only just started that this year, and it's got such a great response so far. So,
mate, do people find out how much it is online, or do they go to?
Yeah. You can just click on the link online, go to Honey Badger events, and it's all over the Facebook page. Just click on the link there and register, and all the prices there. We've tried to keep it very reasonably priced because we're looking at musicians trying to get gigs. You don't want to price yourself out of that. We give you everything. We cater it all. If you get one, it's about the equivalent of one paid gig to join up.
Right.
So if you think, okay, to go to this workshop, I could get thousands of paid gigs to sacrifice, one paid gig to attend. That's about the investment we're looking for.
Yeah. Something I talked to you about offline. I'll just write a note here for myself.
Yeah.
So, mate, do you work in with the agencies around town or with that, or is it more?
Primarily. Yeah, with work with a few, but the primary one would be Gateway Entertainment.
Big shout out to Carl for introducing us, mate, for this
Yeah.
little chat.
Well, Carl and I actually used to go and watch you, and we went to an open mic together and performed at an open mic at the Bay Window, which is now called the Manly Deck. It was back in 1995, and we said, well, we've been to see Nick Phillips enough. Let's try and do it ourselves. So we went to this open mic, and we just got the bug straight away.
Yeah.
Formed a band, and we learnt 15 songs. One Friday afternoon, I walked along and walked into Dooley's Hotel and said, we're a band. I think we're pretty good. The owner of Dooley's Hotel, Jan Dooley, was the one at the desk at the time. Right. She said, well, sing me something. I said, I don't have my guitar with me. She said, well, why the hell would you come and apply for work and not bring your guitar? You got an hour. So I rang Carl up, got the whole band down there, played halfway through the first song. She said, stop. What are you doing tonight? I said, nothing. She said, well, you got a gig in the Irish Bar. So Honey Badger came out. Yep, we could do this. And the place went sideways. It was absolutely packed. We didn't know any more than 15 songs. We just played, Wonderwall, all night, and a few other songs, and we just loved it. And from then we formed a band, and went on to do some original work. I guess we're one of the main cover bands going around Brisbane for a while. But that's how I met Carl, and we go back a long way. And it's nice to be working with him through the agency now. I work with a couple of other agencies as well, but Gateway would be the primary one. Yeah.
Mate, I did an interview last week before with I used to be managed back in the day by Jamie Dunn, who did Agro. Mm-hmm. And pretty much the theme of the chat we were doing was Jamie's always been a believer in you just make it happen. You just get out there and make it happen. You see an opportunity, you grab it, and then you figure out how to make it happen.
Exactly.
And, mate, a lot of what you're saying passes over into what he's saying as well. So just anyone watching, have a look at that chat as well if you could.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mate, where to from here? So is your main focus events or performing, or which is sort of shaping up as being your main driver?
I love performing. I'm always going to be a performer. It's put me in front of a microphone and guitar in my hand. That's where I'm most comfortable. So I want to do more in that space. But where I'm really focusing all my energy at the moment is production for events. Mm-hmm. So stage, lighting, sound, vision, for any sized event, really. Could be corporate, could be private, could be a festival. We can go up to about 5,000 or 6,000 people. Mm-hmm. System, or we can just do small stuff. But I really enjoy seeing an event come to life with good production and good sound engineering. Yep. So I'm putting a lot of effort into that side of things.
It makes or breaks the event. People think, it'll maybe $30 this production side of things, but then they realize there is a line there that takes it from looking amateur to looking professional.
Well, a tip for anyone watching this on how to quote for corporate events, or you can't really do this for regular pub gigs, but if it's a private event or a corporate event, what I do is I quote for performance plus production. So for me to perform at this event, it's this much money. And they, what do you mean by production? I said, well, are you going to provide the staging, sound, lighting? And they go out and get quotes and they realize, no, that's expensive. Yeah. So I can almost double my fees by valuing the production side of it and spending time and effort on production, not just we're just going to turn up and perform.
Yep.
So I quote everything now in terms of performance and production.
Yep. So, mate, when you're putting those things together, I see you got staffing and everything you can do. Do you outsource those things, or do you organise all of that yourself? Or
no, I've got partnerships with people that can help me. I mean, I can go up to do probably 400 to 500 people on my own for an event. That's the gear that I've got. But then if we go above that, I have other people that can come and help. And these aren't other companies I use. These are friends that I use who can come in and support that.
Yeah, you build the relationships.
Yeah, relationships. I've got catering partners. I've got people that can do vision and lighting as well. So we can pull all that together. it's pretty hard to acquire all that equipment on your own, but I can do up to sort of 400 to 500 people. And above that, I use partnerships.
Mate, just so you know, obviously the internet's not great. What we're working with here today, and the vision does get a bit jumpy when you're talking,
Yep.
but I don't think it takes away from what you're saying, and
Yep.
the audio is nice and clear. So if you don't mind, we'll just keep using it if that's right, because it's what you're saying is great. It's not a big distraction.
Yeah, thanks,
mate. The aged care stuff. I'm a big believer that music has this amazing effect on newborns and also people in like dementia stage. And there seems to be something about music that connects us to a universal voice, whatever that is, or a universal energy or something that I think we lose in a lot of our life where it gets busy and sort of so many things going around us. But at the early stage, it seems to be something people react to a lot more. Do you find in the health space and the aged care space, it plays an important role?
Oh, absolutely. I've particularly mentioned dementia and Alzheimer's. Music is almost like a smell. It's familiar as a smell and people that don't remember other people's names, their own family's names, or in mid-conversation they completely forget what they're talking about, can go back and remember a song at exactly where they were the first time they heard it. Remember the feeling that the song gave them. It might have been a song that they got engaged to or played on their wedding day. And it brings them back into that moment, and they know every word. But in their normal everyday life, you're not getting those connections in any other ways. And it's so amazing to see people walk into a room and come to life because they identify with the song. I think for me, a song takes me back to it's an imagery. It takes me back to a time and place when I heard that song, and I can see that in not just in any gig I do, but it particularly with the aged care gigs.
Because I think people do experience in their normal life insofar as I think everyone's had that situation where they've been driving in their car, just the first bar of a song comes up and they just turn it up instantly because there's just a connection straight away. But then life gets in the way. But you sort of, I think at the extremes, you actually, as I say, on the dementia stage, it's sort of because they're in such an abnormal state, if that's probably an offensive way to say it, but they're not, in their normal health. But so you see them at a very negative point, you get the extremes of how music can actually bring them to life so quickly. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen probably a greater way of seeing people in those states connect with their past than through music. And also just the feeling of just being involved. That's why I give them all an instrument to play as well. It might be just a tambourine or a shaker or a drum or something where they feel that they're also making the music happen as well. There's a really nice connection when people are in a room creating some sounds together.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get the chance.
It may not even be nostalgic.
A lot of people just don't get the chance to do that. And I know to a lot of people too, because they haven't been involved with the music, it seems a bit mystical in some way. It's like this magic thing that happens and they're not sure. But you actually get the chance to get involved and you start to make, I understand this a bit better.
Yeah, that's how that happens. Yeah. So with the aged care, I don't approach them as concerts I'm doing. I approach them as it's something that we're going to do together.
Great. And how often do you do them?
Once a month with Communify. That's something I'd like to push a bit further. I do think it's got some real legs to do in aged care facilities. So I've been doing it once a month now for probably 5 or 6 years.
Well, anyone out there, I'll put the link up for Dan's website and all that there. But if you see this, please share this little chat with people you might know who might be interested, because when you see a website, you get the dot points of what's going on, but to actually get to hear him talk about what he's doing in more detail, hopefully that's where this little chat can be useful.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Mate, anything else you'd like to be covering on what you do and what your journey is, or anything you particularly raise?
Oh, we've covered a lot of territory. I mean, there's a lot of changes coming into the industry at the moment. I probably I don't know what you're seeing, but there's not as much band work anymore. I think if you're a solo acoustic artist, I think there's a lot of work around. I think I get a sense that the hourly rate has been pushed up. I don't still think it's where it needs to be, but an hourly rate for bands now is, I think it's difficult for venues to pay that. So the model now, I think, is going towards more solo duo type stuff. There is still band work out there. What's your
I
take
think
on
that yes,
from your
what you're saying
experience?
is correct. As far as the money going up, well, one of the problems we've been trapped into is that everyone's got so used to just turning up, getting paid a fee. Whereas, going back to the 80s and 90s, you'll justify getting really good money because you're bringing bums on seats. You will fill rooms up and making money for the venues. We've lost a lot of that ability for different reasons. Like, for example, back then, it was a lot of work doing a mailing list because we would spend days stuffing actually letters into envelopes and paying for the stamps and sending them out. But people got that unique experience of getting something in their mail that they would stick on their fridge and it was there and they know what you're doing.
Yep.
Now, trying to market a gig, okay, you pay a bit on Facebook advertising or whatever else, but everything's so quick and fast and gone and people forget about it and there's so many other things on it. It's really hard to get people's attention. We have to become far more proactive as a community in how we cross-market with each other. One of the things I'm hoping to do with this little chat is if I can talk to enough people, everyone else shares it to their network and their network. Eventually, I'd love to put together a like a Spotify Aussie Local and Live playlist where we're putting our own music onto that. I'd like to be putting up a regular gig guide, what's happening every week from people in our community. And then way we can cross-promote with each other. So that's my long-term goal with this. Well, we have to find a way to fight back. We can't just sit there and say, okay, well, venues dollars are staying where they are. They're not booking bands anymore. But the way we fix that is by bringing people into the venue and make the venue money. And it's really hard to do by yourself. But I think as a community, we can actually do a lot together if we find that way to unite and combine our efforts. So I think it's up to us to make our industry better.
I think, we can't sit around and wait for other people to do it. I think what you've said is absolutely true. And I think now it is very much on the social media. Carl talks about this from Gateway. You've got to be a 360-degree artist where you just don't turn up to a gig anymore and just the venue's going to be full of people. You actually have to promote it yourself on social media, let people know what you're doing, create a following list and actively promote yourself and make people follow you, let them know what you're doing.
I would ask from the venues, I get so many gigs I'll turn up to and the room's set up so badly, you're playing under 3 or 4 tellies and there's things going on and the atmosphere is terrible and I'll get people turn up who know me and they won't stay. They say, we'll catch you somewhere else. This isn't about music here. It's, we're not really enjoying the atmosphere. My thing from venues is if, we can lift our game on the artist end and our marketing end and actually get people in, I'd like to see venues work a lot more on getting the atmosphere right for entertainment.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just thinking about it. If you've got a crowd that want to watch the footy, have that set up somewhere and then have another part where the people want to watch the music and have it so it works for both. You're getting the most out of your venue by having multiple things happening. Each venue these days, I think, has to be like a mini Las Vegas in itself. They've got the gambling, they've got the restaurants, they've got events, but they've got entertainment as well. And maybe the entertainment, instead of being a 3 or 4 hour gigs, it might even make more sense to have the entertainment doing a 2-hour spot that really brings value to the way the night is running. And the idea an artist gets paid so much for an hour, well, no, that's not right. You're still putting that same effort and everything into doing 2 hours as you do pretty much into 4 hours. It's about what value you bring into their dollar turnover. So just things like that, mate, I think we need to be looking at. And I think I'd like to understand more about what you're doing with your workshops because some of those subjects you're covering there are vital. They're things that we learned. Speaking for myself, I learned from being on the road by playing 5-6 nights a week. You learn them the hard way, but also the lucky way insofar as I got to make money while I was learning. Whereas I think a lot of artists coming through now, they don't get the chance to learn those things on the run. But having someone like yourself giving them that advice is vital, mate. So all power to you, buddy.
Thank you. Just the key piece of advice I can give anyone on how to break through is the best way to get gigs. It's a bit of a parody, actually. The best way to get gigs is to play gigs. You can do all of the photo shoots and social media and make yourself look as good online as you want. That'll only get you so far. The main gigs are going to come from people seeing you play live. And people go, well, how do I get gigs if I'm not playing any gigs? Well, there are so many ways you can do that. You can busk, you can play friends' birthday parties, put your hand up and offer to play events, play at your local football club, play at some charity events, get yourself out there, do open mics. There are so many other avenues that are a bit before a paid gig that you can use.
Well, another thing that might be throwing in too.
So
yeah, it's really, most people when they start out, they invite their friends to gigs, and you get to come along to a few gigs, but they're not going to keep coming along. They've got lives as well. You've got to build your market. And you're going to do that sometimes in front of audiences that know nothing about you. They might be there watching the footy. They might be there having dinner, whatever else, but you somehow have to connect to them. One of the first things you can do is don't think you've learnt 30, 40 songs and you're right to do a night's entertainment. If you can have 300 songs up your sleeve and know that whatever crowd you're in front of, you can entertain that crowd and actually do something where you're connecting through the songs you're playing. To me, that's even more important than in many ways of social media marketing, because when you're in front of the audience, you need to figure out how to connect to them. Now, you might be a great communicator with your comedy or something else, but most players, more it's about their song selection and how they connect to that audience. Now, if you've only got 30 songs you're stuck with, it's really hard because you got no wiggle room. Yeah, I've probably got 500 plus songs up in my head somewhere, and I'll pull them out, and you take wherever the crowd needs to go, so that you just get that sense. Okay, that's the age demographic of the room. That's going to be that type of songs they'll like. So you pull out some of them, you'll get a reaction or two, occasional clap, or someone tapping their foot. So you go for another song in that vein, and you build that bridge of communication. Then when you get a break, go over and say good day to them, have a chat. Get to know them and hand them your little flyer about your music on your website or whatever else, and say, figure out anything else you'd like to hear. And maybe you don't know that song, but I've got this other artist that's real similar to that. You'll probably like this. So you do something that builds that bridge. And out of that, then, if you can find a way to get those people onto your database or your mailing list, or you're following your Facebook, then you can be adding 10, 20 people a night. And so anyway, I think that
absolutely.
having that, if you're going to do something, you're sitting at home wondering what to do, add to your repertoire.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And even if you get those 300 songs, keep going. Keep working on it. Don't stop.
And for me, someone like me, it's great at the moment with a bit of a revival in the countryside singer-songwriter thing going on. There's a lot of good songs coming out at the moment, which is countryside. And I have this little show I do called the 70s Unplugged Show. It's a one-man show. I've got videos and I tell songs that inspired me from that era. But I've always worked either, as you would see me, solo, and I was always a percussive acoustic player. So I could be one little one-man band, or I'd have players with me. But doing the 70s show, I've actually gone for the first time in my life to using tracks behind me. And I've actually had a lot of fun doing it. It's been it's like a whole new area for me. And, where there is more work for soloists at the moment, but you still want to get that bit bigger feel or be a duo, trio vibe to it. The tracks are working really well. So even an old bloke like me can try new things at a time and explore new territories.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, mate, thank you very much for your time in this chat, and I'd love to get you back on down the track a bit further, maybe talk in more detail about the stuff around the healthcare and aged care, and if you've got any of those places or any events you'd think would have an interesting story that would like to have a chat to me, please let me know.
Thank you, Nick. Really appreciate this time. Yeah, I don't want to end. It's not long enough.
But where the best place for people to see where you're playing?
My website, Honey Badger Events. I post every week where I'm playing, what I'm doing. So it changes around. All the venues change. The open mics stay the same, but then my gigs on the weekends change. Cool. So
cool. And if you were someone who used to shop at Rocking Horse, go see Dan and talk about those T-shirt days. That 50th anniversary, was that the 50th of its opening?
Yeah.
Because when did it close down? Late 90s?
Don't know. Don't know.
So I
I'll
think a
look that up.
version of it kept going, but it wasn't anything like what it was back in the 80s. No.
What it was then, yeah. I think a version of it's
Oh, really?
still going now. But
Oh, I didn't know that. Well,
yeah. I'll have to check that.
mate, they were,
Yeah. I was given the shirt
Yeah.
for my birthday by my sister, so I was like, brought back
Absolutely.
memories from going there.
mate, they
as a
started in the days where
teenager.
Queen Street wasn't a mall. It was
Yeah,
a street.
exactly.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
mate. Thanks for your time. Hang in there. I'll have a chat to you offline, but really
right,
appreciate that. And yeah, we'll catch up again.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.